Hello, I'm Dr. Sabina Dosani. I'm a consultant child and adolescent psychiatrist, and I'm going to talk you through some of the commonest questions that parents ask me. Really, the commonest question I get asked is, how do I know if there's something wrong with my child? How do I know if I ought to be consulting a child and adolescent psychiatrist? And the first thing I say to families is, your maternal or paternal instinct is there for a reason. Listen to it. If you think that there's something wrong, it's very likely that something is. You wouldn't ignore it if you were worried your child might have asthma or you were concerned they might have diabetes. So don't ignore that instinct that all might not be well in their emotional or behavioural health. The other areas I tell people to specifically look out for are to look and see if academic performance isn't all it should be. If you feel you've got a child who's very intelligent but they're not achieving as they should at school, or if their school marks are suddenly dropping off, that can often be a warning sign that things aren't right. The other area to look is to look at friendships. Do there seem to be more fallouts and arguments than usual? And the same goes for home life. It's normal to have some ups and downs in every family, but if there's a change in their pattern, if there seem to be more arguments, or you feel your child has become very withdrawn and isn't speaking to you as much as they were before, or you have a sense they're not confiding in you, those can all be the sorts of warning signs that something might be going wrong and it might be time to contact an expert. The second question that I'm often asked is by step-parents who say, I've moved into this new family and everything's going well with my partner, but her children won't listen to me. They really play up when I'm looking after them. And the advice I've got there is twofold. And the first can sound quite hard, but your job as a step-parent at the beginning isn't to be doing the disciplining. The best thing you can do to have a harmonious family life is to support your partner to nurture and do the disciplining of their own biological or birth children. The second aspect and the second way to have a happier family life is to start building the relationship with your stepchildren by doing some fun and enjoyable things together and spending time together in quite a low-key way as well. For instance, getting involved in things like cooking together or doing something as simple as walking the dog, and then getting them to listen to you when you're cross or upset about something will follow on from that. I think it's very common to make the mistake to want to jump in early and try and correct behaviour that you see going wrong, but I'd really encourage you to take a back seat on that. Another question that I'm commonly asked is about teenagers who've become very unhappy and miserable, and parents often wonder what they can do and what they can encourage their children to do. And there's a temptation to want to sit and have a long conversation and try and unearth the cause, but the first thing I would suggest is to actually avoid doing that, although it might sound counterintuitive, and instead focus on doing and try and get your teenager to actually do something rather than encouraging them to talk. The most important thing to do is identify the things that they used to do that make them happy and find an opportunity for them at least once a day or every other day to do whatever that was for 10 minutes. It might be going and listening to music, it might be going for a swim, even if they don't feel like it doing it. And we've identified something called a dose-response effect, which means, in essence, that the more they do the activity that used to make them happy and brought them pleasure, the more happy they'll feel the more often they do it. And just by doing something that they used to enjoy, even when they're feeling very down, their mood will start to lift and they may feel more like talking to you about what's been going on. Families who have children who have been diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, who are very squirmy and fidgety, often feel as if they're going from crisis to crisis, that they're always telling their children off. Everything becomes very negative and miserable at home. And to them I always say, when you're with a child with hyperactivity, their behaviour is a bit like the sea. You can have days where it's all very calm and then suddenly from nowhere things become very stormy and you feel these waves are going to engulf you. And just as you can't always see a storm brewing on the horizon, you can't always see when behaviour's about to change. So what I suggest to them is that rather than communicating very actively when those storms break, when things go wrong, to really look for and focus on the calm times, and whenever their child is doing something that isn't being disruptive at home, for instance playing quietly or sharing something with a brother or sister, to really catch them being good and label what they're doing. So say, I really like the way that you're sitting quietly colouring so that I can cook, or it was fantastic the way you shared that with your sister just now. Thank you for doing that. And by catching your children being good and behaving in a way that you like and praising them for that often, you will see more of the behaviours that you want to see rather than having to intervene and tell them off when things go wrong.